Well, good morning or afternoon, and on this beautiful spring sunshining day, I'm excited here to kick us off and see what's been happening in this very interesting real estate market. So, welcome. It's Stephanie Evelo here with the Evelo Team at Keller Realty, and I have with me special guest, of course, our ever endearing Bob Warner, our research specialist and senior realtor partner on the team. And we're going to kick off today with our monthly market update and review. And Bob, so what can you tell us? What's happened in the last 30 days here in March of this year?
Yep, we'll just get right to it. So same stats we take a look at each month. First up is that median sales price. So for the month ending March, again, keeping in mind we trailed data by about 30 days, we ticked back up to 271. That was just a little bit of an increase over last month when we ended at 270, and up about 3.8% year over year. So while housing prices aren't going down, the rate of growth we're starting to see slow some. Over the last couple of years, those year over year numbers have been more in the 10 to 14% range, depending on what month it was. So a little bit of a slight decrease in the growth of sales. Next up is that cumulative days on market. So we ended up March at 10 days is the median. That's down from 18 last month, but it is up from 4 over the same period last year. So a little bit between where we were last year and where we were last month. So we're seeing that number start to decrease again. Next up is the absorption rate or month supply of inventory. If you've watched us before, if you haven't, a balanced market is considered anytime we're up here in this 5 to 6 month supply of inventory range. We have been down below 2 and 3% for quite some time, going back to early 2020. We did hit a little bit of a spike in Q4 of 2022 and into January of 2023, but you can see we've completely come downhill from there. So we ended March at 1.2 months supply, which was down a little bit from last month, but up a little bit from last year. And then the last one to take a look at under this kind of category is the percent of list price received. So we were up again a little bit over month. We're at 98.1% on average. That's down a little bit. This time last year, we were at 101.2%. And if you look at the HERDA, like last summer, May, June, July, we were up near 103% at that time. So some changes there, but things for the most part are either going up or coming back down pretty drastically, depending on which category.
Yeah, and it is interesting that 98% of list to sales price ratio, because I wonder, because it's all relative, right? It's all relative based on what somebody puts it out there as their starting price. And so I wonder if maybe some of the sellers are being a little still aggressive in thinking that the market is still as strong as it was, in a few months back or a year ago. To where they're maybe pricing it maybe a little above where it should be in the actual perceived value. So that is interesting that it's not at 100% nowadays. Getting at 98%. So although we still are seeing some multiple offers, right?
Yeah, it's always relevant. Obviously, very price point dependent, very location dependent. So the lower the price point, the greater number of listings that sell for over list price and significantly over list price. And obviously, the higher the price point, that means there's fewer prospective buyers overall. And so those are the ones that tend to maybe sell a little bit under list price versus those ones that are down in the $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 range, where the majority of those are selling for well over list price. So definitely some situational circumstances.
Yeah, for sure. And what metrics have you been following to track this shifting market? Because I know it's definitely been shifting.
Yeah, so there's been a couple or three things we've been taking a look at the last, really since going back to Q3, Q4 last year, just to kind of track how the market is changing a little bit, trying to stay in front of it some. We are on that up and down roller coaster, so there's no exact crystal ball answer, but the first one up is active inventory. So the total number of homes actively for sale at the end of March, we were at 3,422. We've talked before, for the vast majority of time in our market, it was very rare to ever see that number under 5,000. It really dipped below 5,000 for the first time going back to late 2019, early 2020. So that is down a little bit over last month in February, but it is up about 60% over last year. So a few more listings out there for sale right now. We'll see how that trend continues. Next up is the closed sales. So we ended March with a little bit over 2,900 closed sales. That was up about 900 over February, but that was down a little bit over last year. So total sales overall is down a little bit. And then the last one here is the number of new listings. So in March, we had 3,200, almost 3,300 new listings. That was up about 36% over February. That's pretty common. I always tell people the market's like a roller coaster. You can see these big spikes here. The upward spike usually starts in March-ish and it continues through May, June, and then we start to come down, right? So the highest number of listings that hit the market tend to always happen in that 3 to 4 month range. Obviously, homes sell all year long, as you can see on the chart here, but that is where we see the biggest change. So that was up about 36% from last month, but that was down about 18% from last year. So some big changes.
And some of those changes do open up some opportunity for buyers, right? Because I know some buyers have been sitting on the fence, so it actually opens up some opportunity there for buyers, having more inventory on the market to even look at or choose from. So, yeah. So, what about interest rates? What's going on in the mortgage side of things?
Yeah, so we always try to take a hit on this each month. The good news is we've hit a 2-month low. For the week ending last week, the average mortgage interest rate for a 30-year fixed was 6.27. Keep in mind, there's a lot of variables that go into that. So that doesn't mean you just walk in someplace and that's the exact interest rate you're going to get, but that's the best way to kind of tackle the metric. That's down almost a half a point from when we did this last month. And as I mentioned, that is a 2-month low. So things seem to be trending in a good way. We're certainly not headed to the 2.5–3% rate that we were at a little over a year and a half ago. But historically, that is still a very low rate. We just made a huge jump in a short period of time, which was really the first time that big of a jump in that short of a period of time has ever happened.
Yeah. And again, interest rates are always relative. My first house was 7.5%, right? So,
yep. And mine was 7. So,
right. So it's still low in relation to what my first home. So any final thoughts, Bob? Anything else you want to leave us with?
Yeah, we always try to wrap up with something. Obviously, spring and summer often get people thinking about whether it might be the time to sell, right? And so this is just a quick look, a little infographic at what some of the top reasons are that people might want to sell. Obviously, we're in favorable market conditions for sellers right now. So certainly the opportunity to take advantage of the current market. Maybe your home doesn't meet the needs of your family any longer. Maybe you've realized you want different amenities or features in your home or neighborhood. Maybe you moved away and you wouldn't mind moving back to be closer to friends or family. And then on the other side of that, maybe all the kids you had have gone and moved out on their own and you decided you have a little bit too much house, right? So that tends to be the top 4 or 5 things that make people want to move. And obviously, if you're butting up against one of those kind of thoughts and you're a little bit on the fence, would love to come out and talk about what the market's like, hyper local to where you're at, and how we might be able to help you achieve your goals.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Bob, and thank you so much for bringing all the stats that we can share with those our friends, family, listeners, and valued clients. We want to make sure that they're educated on what the market is doing or isn't doing, and so that they can make smart financial buying decisions in the real estate market. Well, we just want to thank everyone for joining in today. Thank you for listening in, and we hope that this sheds some light on the current market conditions. And if you have any other questions, you can always reach out to our team. That would be, you can send us an email, info@eveloteam.com, or you can call 317-863-9011. And we always will be happy to answer any questions or answer any questions that you might have regarding the real estate market, real estate trends, your home specifically, or whether you're looking to buy or sell. if you're looking to buy or sell, of course, we'd love the opportunity to have a conversation and see how we might be able to help and assist you, or any friends or family or neighbors or coworkers or anybody else that you think might need our assistance. So thank you so much for joining us again today. And remember, as always, make each moment count. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.